You are watching the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, your escape to reality.
Six. I'm going to talk about it anymore. And
What?
Yeah.
What
happened?
Yeah. I just said we just finished our political talk before the show, so we're going to talk about other stuff. George Hobb is joining us. George, welcome to the podcast.
Hey.
What the heck?
Hey, what
Get
are
out
you
of my
doing?
house. Get out of my house.
So tomorrow,
trying to book a cruise to Cancun, and you guys are interrupting my
yeah, we're doing the game show tomorrow night. So we were just pre-teching it, gaming it, whatever. And then tomorrow night it starts for the viewer. It starts at 6, correct?
6 p.m.
6
Eastern.
6 is good.
6 p.m. Eastern. Yep. 6 is always good. Yep.
6 is good.
And it's going to be good.
And Ian, where can they link to that?
Wow.
Someone says they can't hear you, Ian. Can't hear Ian. Or are you muted?
Are you muted?
We hear you.
Hang on.
All right. Can they hear all of us?
Ian is talking question mark.
Can only hear Steve and no one else.
Oh.
I have to add that to the Urban Dictionary, getting watermelon. That and going on a tech cruise.
Going on taking a TED cruise.
Taking a TED
Oh
cruise.
my gosh, that was so great.
Going on a TED cruise. Holy shit.
Going on a TED cruise.
What a dick.
All right.
That guy is
so,
such a dick.
you guys, any of you here watch the Perseverance land on Mars?
Oh, of course. Kidding me?
That was awesome.
Well, we saw the graphics of it landing 15 to 20 minutes previously.
Yeah, 11 minute delay. But
11 minutes.
There's good
It's so fun.
there's good high res pictures now from the sky crane lowering the rover.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
sky crane's
Amazing.
awesome.
You can see those. Then there's the first pictures on Mars. The very, very first pictures were low res with the lens cap on, which is glass, but so it's translucent, but it's still crappy. Now we have ones with the lens cap off, with higher resolution. They're starting to come out.
Translucent lens cover.
Yeah.
I like that idea because if you can't take the lens cover off, it's not a complete waste.
Well, I think
Right?
they wanted to be able to get a picture of their environment before they take the lens cap off, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's a great
It's
idea.
very smart. It's very smart.
Yeah.
Super smart.
I thought the idea that they had like a video game rendering of what was going on was so awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like that spectacular to
as hell.
see. It wasn't like the highest resolution graphics you've ever seen or whatever, but it showed you what was happening, and I appreciated it because it meant more to me than just hearing them say it.
It's so
And
funny because there's no real time interaction. They're basically watching what's happening. They can't
Watching
send a
what
signal.
happened.
What happened in the past, like 11 minutes in the past. It's not like, something's going wrong. Quick, make this happen. No.
That's self-driving,
Exactly. But it's funny to think that, oh, wait, this is in the past. We're observing what happened in the past.
And this is a good platform
Isn't
now.
everything?
I mean, there was a complicated landing procedure specifically because they wanted to land in a dangerous location because it's scientifically interesting in the Jezero crater. But so they had the heat shield slows down the probe. That was like from 18,000 miles an hour down to like just a couple of like 1,000 miles per hour, something pretty low. And then the parachute deploys, bringing it down to even further. They drop the heat shield, and then the sky crane
retro rockets,
deploys.
Mm-hmm.
It hovers, lowers it down, it flies away, and just crashes. That thing doesn't even land. Once it just gets out of the way, and then they don't care about it.
See, now we have Mars debris.
Yeah, now we have Mars debris. So, I mean, now that worked flawlessly, we could use that platform to land any future probe.
This is the second time they've done that.
Yeah, but the sky crane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Have you
proven
seen the
technology.
helicopter thingy?
The ingenuity,
The helicopter.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
With the double rotors.
yeah.
And it's like super light, and they're saying that's how they're gonna explore worlds, basically using these drones.
It
Robots, yep.
will be
helicopters.
the first thing that flies on Mars if it works.
Under its own power. The problem,
Right.
the disappointing thing is that it's only there as a like a demonstration technology. It's not going to really do anything, really that they're looking forward to, except actually just working. How do you test that thing?
Apart from flying on Mars, it's not going to.
Yeah,
do
I
much
mean
of
that
anything,
is so
really.
freaking cool. We're gonna have a flying camera on Mars.
Gonna have a
But how do you
helicopter on
test that?
Mars.
I mean, that's like the Mars's atmosphere is what, 1,000th of
They
Earth?
put it in a huge,
100th,
huge tank.
100th.
They put it in a huge,
Yeah.
cylindrical
Vacuum chamber.
tank, and they test it. It's 1,000 times thinner air. or
Oh,
something.
excellent.
Bob,
All right.
I played that as a Who's That Noisy. The blades spin. Those blades spin incredibly fast.
5 times faster, I think, than they would have to on Earth.
500.
500 times
Yeah.
faster.
5,000.
No, it's
5 million, Steve.
5 million.
I'm kidding. 5 million. Yeah.
No, yeah, 500.
Why do they make this so complicated? Why don't they just send people? It'd be so much easier.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is the first mission. I don't know if it's the first, but as part of this mission, they're specifically running tests that are meant to be a prelude to humans landing on Mars.
Of course. Yeah.
So they're going to be testing the ability to turn Martian carbon dioxide into oxygen. That's because oxygen is pretty useful if you're on Mars. And they're going to be testing. It's going to be the first time. This is interesting. The first time that there's going to be a microphone on Mars.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
We'll hear Mars
First
for
time?
the first time. Yeah.
We haven't done that before. Why?
No. I guess
What?
every-
It's,
It's a
In
compliment.
fact,
we're catching up to the 1930s.
right, George?
What's going on?
Carl Sagan made a huge push for a microphone like in the 70s, and it never happened. But
course,
they finally did it on the
Imagine if it sounds
Perseverance.
annoying. That would suck.
Yeah, but Steve, that microphone would have been that big Wink Martindale with the thin line. And so who wants that on Mars? You want to have a good 2000 mic.
Oh,
Right,
those are
right.
cool microphones.
And then,
Well,
of course,
I mean-
they're going to be looking for signs of ancient life on Mars, and that's why they're going to that crater, because it looks like there was probably water there 1 billion years ago.
Mhm.
They're going to interview the rocks. How long have you been
Yeah.
a Martian rock?
Yeah,
But it would have also been
they'll do a
cool.
podcast, a Mars podcast.
Ooh, nice.
It would have been really
Mars
cool
cast.
if they had the rover play some music so we could hear what sound sounds like on Mars. Like, would it sound different because of the
Yeah.
lack of oxygen or lack of
The
atmosphere?
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, what does?
probably
Yeah,
would,
they should. That's a good. I wonder if they're going to do that. They should have done that.
And
Also,
you
like,
think
play-
Couldn't they simulate that? They
Chuck
could probably
Berry, Steve?
simulate that.
Yeah, Chuck Berry. Yeah, just that. What would a human voice sound like on Mars, in the Martian atmosphere?
In the atmosphere.
Of course. Now this is going. You know how every time we take a picture of any foreign planet, the UFO nuts see
Oh, yeah.
like
They
Bigfoot
see
and
everything.
squirrels and aliens and
I
technology.
see aliens.
So now with the microphone, there's going to be audio pareidolia. They're going to hear
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Martians.
You'll hear people talking.
There's demons there.
Oh
There's
yeah.
demons on fucking
yeah,
Mars,
dude.
man.
Demons.
Yes, but Evan, is there? Maybe they don't have Bigfoot. Maybe they have Wolfies.
Wolffoot.
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 This is there's going to be years of great Mars exploration coming out of
Oh,
the
yeah,
Perseverance.
Have you seen the 4K simulation that they did using still photography?
Mm-mm.
So they took all these Martian photos and they rendered it in 4K, and then they put motion on it, so it looks like a camera panning across the landscape. Unbelievably gorgeous images, just unbelievably gorgeous. I saw the other day someone had posted it somewhere, but it's the first time that they've interlaced and they've done this 4K
Yeah.
Martian footage to simulate as if it's a pan, but it's actually all still images that are just going across. But it looks, it's really, really cool.
That is. I love it when they do that. Like they'll take existing media and make it better media
Yeah.
using algorithms.
Yeah,
or
like the
whatever.
4K of
VR.
Never Gonna Give You Up. Have you seen that? The Rick Astley video? Someone
No.
did a 4K render on the Rick Astley, the Rick rolling video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
that sounds like a trap, but okay.
It's you look at it and it's like it kind of like it bothers you because it's so crisp. We're so used to seeing that
The low
crappy
res.
low
Yeah.
res for the last 30 years. And so I don't know if they did an off the real file or if they somehow just uplinked it or whatever they did.
Yeah.
But it's
Oh my God,
it's
you're
in
right, George. I'm
4K,
watching
and
it
it's
right
like,
now.
It's like you're in the room with
have
him and it
4K
just
monitor,
freaks you
Jack?
out. It's really cool.
How the hell do we?
I don't know
how do
if they got the original
called-
source 35 millimeter film and they did it off of that or what, but
It's called upscaling, right? Upscaling, I think.
yeah. But I think it's off the 35 millimeter source because you can upscale from film to 4K. You have to just do a total scan thing. But maybe they just smart upscaled it somehow with some.
I don't understand. I mean, I know that it works. I know it's the technology that's doing it. But to me, I don't understand how they do it. I'd like to have a better understanding.
Talk
Like
to Captain D. Alan will be able to explain the interlacing and all.
Yeah,
that
you're right. He's a
stuff.
good person.
He'll do a 20-minute dive on this is what's happening, and
So you
why
guys
we're seeing it that way too. It's so
Oh,
cool.
extrapolating pixels.
Do you guys want to see what my surgery spot looks like now?
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh, the stitches are out.
4K?
My stitches are out.
Hold on, let me get the big zoom in on this.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks like it looks like a scratch.
I know,
Hardly
it's
any.
just
Like a
ridiculous.
scratch.
I have more skin damage from the adhesive that I wore. When I'm a little bit allergic to adhesive.
Brian whacked.
Brian,
Brian,
Brian, eh?
what's
hey,
up, man?
did you know?
Hey,
Oh yeah, now it's on. I heard you go. Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
we can hear you.
yes. Hi, Brian.
Can you hear what I'm saying right now?
We need to upscale Brian into 4K.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
2K would be nice.
Oh, yeah, it looks good, Brian.
1K. That's good. Well, come on.
Maybe half a K. When you get to 2/3 K, sell.
Yeah, I just looked at the 4K Mars stuff is amazing.
4K Mars and then the 4K Never Gonna Give You Up video, Brian. I don't know if you've seen that. Someone had
Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, forget the Mars stuff. Watch
yeah,
the-
Mars smart.
Go get Rick. Go
Check
get
out
Rick rolled in 4K.
Rickrolled in
It's
4K.
a weird experience because
It's
you're
weird.
simultaneously getting rickrolled, but you're like, wow, but that video is so good. But it's so cringy, the whole thing.
Okay, let's have Brian do an audio test real quick, just to get him settled.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Evan can
Oh,
hear
yeah.
Brian. Yes. Evan can hear Ian too.
Hi.
Brian. All right, test it again, Brian.
Check.
Nothing.
How many times do you think you've said check in your life, George? and
Somebody
Brian?
said watermelon, no Brian audio.
At least 20, 30 times.
Yeah, at least twice.
6 or 7, maybe more than
Wait, now they're saying all good.
All good? Yes. Much
Yes.
better.
Okay.
All clear.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Yeah, can they hear Ian?
Can you guys hear Ian?
Ian, can you hear yourself?
Hold on, not yet. There's a delay.
Go check yourself.
Can you wreck yourself?
So we were just talking about the
We're getting a
perseverance.
no for Ian. No on Ian.
Ian,
No,
what's
Ian.
going on? I think your camera has to be on, Ian. I think
Oh,
your
for
camera's
All right,
on.
now someone is saying we hear him. And
If
they
only we had
spelled
a
hear
tech
wrong.
guy.
Burn.
All right, so I don't know what they heard about the game show, but we are running a game show
Yeah.
tomorrow. We the game
Episode
show
Zoomer
that-
versus Zoomer.
yes. So
Official.
the idea that we started with Nexus last August,
That was the pilot.
that was
Not even
basically
really.
like
That was not a pilot. That was
That
just
was
that was
proof of
an
concept.
It was a proof.
Yes.
Yeah,
Proof
proof
of
of
concept,
concept.
but
We did a
on and
pilot
off.
during the 12 hours live stream. Now this is the season 1, episode 1 first.
It was a
12
test.
episodes.
That was like the Enterprise shuttle, space shuttle test flight before
Yeah.
Yes.
before Columbia went up.
There's no registration. There's no tickets. You just tune in and watch.
Show up. And
And
where can
love
they
it.
watch it?
Yeah.
You can watch it on the
Watch it
intertubes.
on the SGU YouTube, on Twitch, which apparently is a thing.
Yes. It's a big thing.
It's BVZ game on Twitch.
Wait, we have a Twitch.
BVZ.
We have a Twitch.
Also
We
on the
do.
Facebook, you can check
Several.
it out. 6:00 tomorrow Eastern time. We go live. We have 3 contestants. We have our quiz masters that are all here in the room with me.
All
There's
of them.
Jay.
That's
there's
right.
Steve. There's Brian. They're the Gen X quiz
Now we hear
masters.
me.
Ian
That's right.
is
I'm
behind the
back.
scenes, and you can be heard. Which
I
is
clicked the
wonderful.
buttons.
Yeah,
Evan
So yes,
won our first game, which we ever did with our pilot episode. Evan was
commandingly.
Evan killed it.
Because
That
he's
was
Gen X.
ridiculous.
That's why he won, because
Yeah.
Gen X is
That'll be a good trivia question in 10 years. Who won the pilot episode of Boomer versus
Yeah.
Zoomer?
I'm the Captain Pike of the show. You can wheel me out. Beep, 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 beep.
There's
Somebody
the
asked
Twitch link.
if we'll put it in the podcast feed.
No, maybe.
I
Probably
can post a
not.
link.
We don't. I don't. Yeah. Okay. We can-
I
It's
can
a
post a
very
link
video.
on
It's a visual thing, and it's a separate. It's a separate thing. It's not the podcast. It's not the SGU. It's
It will be
SGU
on the SGU
Productions.
YouTube though.
It's SGU. So remember, there's SGU Productions, which is our media empire. The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe podcast is just one thing that we do. It's one thing that the SGU Productions produces. It's the
Yes.
main thing. There are other things.
Like we produce dinner and we make meatballs.
Right? Well, we also produce AQ6. There's something. Alpha Quadrant 6.
Or we used to, at least.
Well, we're going to reboot now that the pandemic is winding down. Hopefully, unless that South African variant, screws everything up.
We have the studio set up, so with the plexiglass panels and everything,
Yeah.
so we could actually do studio work. I'm hearing my children are screaming my name.
I heard that.
I heard that too. Yeah.
Right? As if they don't know. They know.
Bring Olivia up. Have her sing a song to me again.
That song?
So, Brian, what did you drop today? What was your announcement today?
What do you got?
Oh yeah. So I have a kids band, basically a kids comedy band, and we have a new EP out today.
Sweet.
With I don't know if you guys know Flula Borg. He's a German weirdo
hilarious.
comedian.
Hilarious.
Yes, super funny. So we've done a few things together, and he and I and my partner in the kids band put out a joint EP today. So it's called.
What's the name of the band? What's the name?
The band is called Go Banana Go. So it's basically comedy songs for kids. And yeah, you can listen to it on Spotify, any place you can stream music. I really love it. My 6.5-year-old listens to it all the time and just digs it. So
What's the title? What's it called?
It's called It's For You, because it's Flula in a banana costume on the cover holding a couple banana phones up to his ears.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's
I still answer the banana phone.
Yeah.
Is it all original stuff? All written?
All original. Yep.
Never
all
gets
original. It's kind of like there's not one single vibe, but it's a little bit like, I hesitate to even pin this down. It's sort of like,
So like Raffi?
acoustic-y
Probably
punk.
not.
No, not at all. I can tell you what it's. Yeah, it's not like Raffi or the Wiggles. Like we're just.
Oh, the Wiggles are awesome.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're not great. They're definitely great. The kids
But
music thing is a whole like scene, man.
Yeah, I
It's-
know.
Oh my gosh,
Big
big time.
Yeah.
Big market.
So apparently they've been playing us on the Sirius XM kids station.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So
Uh,
cool.
So it's a lot of fun. It's just fun to make music for kids, especially when you play for your own kids, and then they start laughing and singing along. It's really really fun. And we have a test.
Hit? What's the single off the album?
Well, so the one we thought would be the one we released as a single is a very highbrow song about farting called "Who Tooted," but that's not the one that's gaining traction.
What
as
is
these
the
things
one?
go. We also wrote my like all-time favorite is Randy Newman, and so we wrote like kind of a Randy Newman-esque song about bugs.
Yeah.
Which devolves into someone just trying to guess the name of the bug who's singing, and I'm the bug who's singing.
Nice.
So,
Randy Newman. Wow.
oh, the best.
Didn't- I
don't know
you were
anyone better
big
than-
into Randy.
Oh my
Ryan,
god,
Isn't
Well,
the,
I'm
the
alive,
fourth
dude.
song-
That's what it means to be into Randy Newman. Like,
the fourth song on the album is called "I Just Shit Myself," right?
I'm not going to confirm that. You're going to have to go check it out.
See, you put the single out, you think you smell a hit, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's
It's a totally
Smell.
different thing. It's the weirdest, least commercial song that is the one that's getting the most traction.
course.
That's awesome.
It's always the case. Yeah.
Hard to predict.
But it's a lot of fun. Flula's the best. He's such a.
how did
fun,
you hook up with
funny
him?
guy.
Because he's
He,
amazing.
our producer, and he knew each other through some comedy scene. So Jim Roach is our producer, and he and Flula had worked together on something, or I can't. Jim is kind of in the comedy scene. He did a bunch of songs for Amy Schumer, and kind of knows people through that. So he and Flula worked on something, and then Flula and my other band, Ninja Sex Party, did a song together. And then we just kind of started hanging out. He has the perfect like manic vibe for a kid's project too.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
And he's like the sweetest guy in the world. too.
awesome uncle that's from Germany. That's like gonna
Yes.
give you all that chocolate that you're not supposed to have. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's also he's just an improv genius. Like his brain is just constantly going. There's
In,
a-
not in his non-native language, which is just that's like so.
I know, right? Yeah. He's
German,
like
and he has
he's
this
German.
heavy
and-
accent, not heavy, but a significant accent. But he can improvise in
Yeah.
English, and you're just like, wow, that's not,
Oh, like
not
nobody's
fair.
business.
It's
Yeah.
not fair.
It's amazing. In fact, I've never seen him improvise in German even. And that's, he's so
Yeah.
good at it in English.
He's probably faking it.
I'm sure he
Probably
could do
probably
it.
from Detroit. It's a whole persona.
Chicago.
I'll be Flula Borg or something. I don't know. Whatever. It'd be fine. But then I'm from
Yeah.
Germany. Whatever.
It's so fun. Well, we did a little like Instagram live stream today to promote the album, and it was really fun seeing half the comments were like German stuff I didn't understand, and then and then others.
Wunderschön.
So
Congrats, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
thanks.
Awesome.
I like that you're spread out. You have lots of different projects going on.
Yeah, to me it's always weird because I'm in this world where I have a very adult band, right? Ninja Sex
Right.
Party, which is like all dick jokes and stuff.
And SW, yeah, not so
yeah, and then
He's
this,
very adult. Yeah.
very adult, not X-rated, like it's like
You mean not for
PG-13
kids.
maybe. Not for kids, decidedly
Yeah.
not for kids. And then this other kids project, which was really, really fun.
And Brian, I want to thank you. You made a recommendation for a series of books. What's it called? Hilo.
Hilo. Oh man, the best.
So we not only do we have it, but my son spent half the day today reading quietly in his room, and that's pretty much never happened before.
I don't believe it.
So these books, you guys should all read these books. So now the 7th book just came out in this series. They're little like graphic novels for kids. It's called Hilo, Hilo, by Judd Winnick, and it takes place. And this will tell you his influence. It takes place in Burke County because this guy is heavily Bloom County influenced.
Oh,
And Bloom County, I love Bloom County growing up.
right in my heart, Bloom County.
And these
forever.
there's not a single other book series that my family, me and my wife and my 6-year-old, gather around, read them together whenever they come out, laughing out loud the whole time.
Oh,
The
gosh,
art is
yeah.
great. It's like genuinely funny. It takes place. It's got a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of magic. It's kind of like a sci-fi fantasy hybrid, and it's great for. I mean, my daughter started reading them when I think she was 4, and has just been all about them ever since.
Cool.
So the newest one just came out, and it's every bit as great as the the first 6.
Mhm.
I can't recommend it highly enough. I'm so glad
That's
that
awesome.
Dylan liked them, Jay.
Yeah, I mean,
That's awesome.
he's been really getting into books more, but it's been, the books that he likes are kind of stupid. Like, do you ever hear of Dog Man?
Yes, isn't that a Captain Underpants?
Yes,
Dan Pilkey.
And it is. I mean, talk about slumming. It is like just fart jokes all the way. You know what I mean? There's no legit content.
Look, I just released an album of fart jokes, so take it easy on the.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just complete nonsense. There's no like, you don't walk away with anything other than maybe a little bit more reading skill, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that he loves these books. He's
That's great.
that he can't wait to go to bed tonight, which is another thing that he's never said in his entire life.
Yeah,
I'm skeptical.
My daughter did the same thing where she's like, can I just go have some alone reading time by myself right now to read this book for the 4th time since we got it last week?
Cool.
She loves it.
How is that as parents? Like, from compared to when you were kids, in terms of like what is considered good entertainment?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they're reading anything, you're happy. Like, you don't really care, even if it's like on the verge of being
more or less. I mean, my daughter, because she's 6, is just at that thing where she can really start to read by herself.
Okay.
And go off and understand it. So there's a little bit of content filtering, but generally speaking, if she's reading anything,
any
she's
reading
great.
is good. Yeah.
She also
our parents couldn't, like, they weren't allowed to read comics because that was thought that's going to rot your mind and it's going to be awful.
That's that's definitely not the case now, because half the things that are out there are graphic novels for kids,
and they're amazing.
Yeah. And they're amazing.
And you'd be happy if your kid was reading a graphic novel, like as compared to being on Facebook or
the thing that my kid just started doing, which we needed to start worrying about, is she pulls like big adult books off the shelf. So she just pulled Mason and Dixon by Pynchon off our shelf, and she's like leafing, and she's fakely reading it.
Right.
But it's also like, no, she actually knows words now. So we kind of had to say, okay, maybe not the Murakami stuff, and like, let's just focus on here are some mommy daddy books that aren't going to have any words that are upsetting.
What was the most adult book you read as a kid? Like, anybody that comes
literally porno magazines.
Not I'm talking literature.
I had older brothers.
No.
Wait, you read them?
But I mean, like, no, like a book that you read that wasn't intended for your age.
For me, it was definitely the Thomas Covenant books by Stephen R. Donaldson.
Those are good. I read them in college.
But they're not for 10-year-olds. I'll tell you that.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think I did. I think I was always age appropriate.
Question.
I was reading
trying to
very young.
remember.
Vonnegut turned me on for some reason. I remember being like maybe 12 or something. They had books.
Some political book I read. I was like 8 or something. I tried to understand it. I can't.
I remember I read a lot of, I was really into fantasy when I was like 10, 11, 12, like Lord of the Rings and then beyond. And there were definitely some things in there. My parents were like, they wouldn't read these books. They just kind of buy them for me if they looked like they had an interesting cover. And there was definitely stuff in there that was not, including the Donaldson stuff, that was not age appropriate.
Yeah. 2001. I remember reading that as a kid because I saw the movie very young and had no clue what was going on. So Dad was like, well, here's the book if you want. This might help. Huh?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it didn't. But it was great to read it because it's like, this is what adults do. To have a paperback in your hand felt so
it's the best
adult thing. The smell and everything. It was
Speaking of books, Andy Weir, the author of The Martian.
Oh, The Martian.
Coming out with a new book called
Oh,
Project Hail Mary, which
What's that about?
it's about a lone astronaut who saves the Earth, apparently, which I know about because we're going to interview him.
Oh,
no way. That's
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Did
I don't
you
know
read
what
Artemis,
I'm
his
still
second book?
negotiating the date. It can't. They said you can't let the interview air before April 5th or May 4th. May the 4th.
Star Wars
Yeah.
Day.
Star Wars Day.
So it's like, okay, well, whatever. We'll probably interview him sometime in April. But I have the book, so I could read it. I'll have to figure out a way to get it to you guys. But yeah,
Did you guys read the second book of his, the Artemis?
No.
That was like, it's like a moon
I almost did.
civilization, sort of. It was pretty cool. It was cool. I mean, again, the science is really spot on, and he kind of tries to figure out, okay, if there's going to be a colony on Mars or a generation that's grown up there, what would that be like?
Lava tubes.
And it's cool. It's really nice. Yeah.
Would there be any long-term negative health side effects?
Sure.
Unless you're, because you absolutely have to live in a gravity environment.
Yeah, the low gravity would be a problem.
He
That would
talks
be the
about that.
problem, yeah.
That, like, there people that I think, from what I remember, those that are born on the moon or have been on the moon a significant amount of time can't go back to Earth. You understand that you can't go back. So you have this low kind of gravity stuff.
That's like a thing on
Well,
the Expanse too,
The
right?
Expanse, yeah.
They do it great.
You have to take drugs in order to be able to survive on Earth,
Cool.
even on from Mars, which is like 60% of the gravity of Earth.
So we don't
There may
have
be ways around that. There could be
simulations.
ways around, relatively simple ways around that. Like if you were,
they should put you on like a compression train, like a train that will give you gravity while you're sleeping.
Right,
So at least
simulate
Well, like
something
a-
that simulates 1G.
like a centrifuge.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe if you have like an hour a day of that would be enough, or some type of exercise that simulates. They would do like on a treadmill with springs on their shoulders attached to the ground, so that you're fighting against the spring. I mean, maybe a little bit of that.
Yeah, but that's just your muscles, Bob. You need, your cardiovascular system needs to be under the effect of gravity.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's
Mars
lots
is
of things.
0.376 G. 0.376.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
4/10, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
just under.
yeah, Jay. There's lots of things that are affected, not just bones, but lots of different things, and they'd have to,
the bones.
they'd have to address all of them.
Well, that's why, I mean, we're going to be to the moon again very soon. I don't really think we're going to be colonizing the moon in the next several decades. I think we're a ways away from that.
No, but the next 100 years, I think.
Sure, 100 years? Yeah, colony.
Mhm.
We should have had Alpha Base 1 already, though. I mean, what?
We should grow all of our food on the moon.
Moon food.
No, we should set up some solar collectors up there.
Yeah, do that too.
Well, that's
No,
part of
no
the plan, isn't it?
atmosphere. There's no atmosphere. Just get the high ground, and you're good. That would be some. You could also put some observatories on the far side of the moon, so there's no interference from the Earth.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Ooh.
Evan, what is going on behind you?
It's my bookshelf, Jay.
Oh, that's okay.
That's a picture. That's a picture, and the picture is the puzzle, and the puzzle is the picture. Remember that. So, does anyone remember, guys?
I
Steve?
entirely
Yeah.
remember that picture.
Yeah, you want
Yep.
to take a gander to what year that picture was? Maybe
I don't
snapped?
remember this picture at all. What?
That's got to be like 99,
Is this the
98.
SGU?
Yeah, 97. 97. It was the fall of 97. And we as the Connecticut, maybe were we the New England Skeptical Society by then?
Yes, at that time.
Representing up at the PsyCops conference for local skeptics groups.
Mhm.
And we had a sit down on the Sunday before we left with, I mean, a lot of things happened over the course of that weekend, but there was this sit down in which we got to sit down with some very esteemed people. And I don't recall who took the shot, but I'm glad they got this shot, obviously, because Perry's here in the picture here.
Yep.
And the other ones identified, obviously, that's me wearing a baseball cap. Perry, Bob, right?
Yeah.
Steve. Now there's 4 more people. They're a little bit harder to see. So there's a person here. There's 2 people over here, right? One head behind the other, and then there's a person in the foreground here.
I just full screened
Is the
you.
foreground Joe Nickel?
The person in the foreground is Joe Nickel. That is right. He's the hardest one really to identify.
Joey 5 cents.
Yeah, and he was in a wheelchair. You couldn't see the wheelchair that he was in because he had broken his leg or his foot on a trip to Spain and had surgery, and they botched the surgery. And I think,
oh my God,
and it caused big problems. Like he talked about it being this awful horror story. Yeah, it was touch and go there. But that's Barry Carr is here, and with the beard here, and right behind him is the one and only Paul Kurtz. Paul Kurtz. And the 8th person is unidentified. We do not know who the 8th person is. And there was actually someone on the Discord message board who was able to identify all 7 people plus the one unknown person. He got it entirely right. Mitch.
Wait. So Mitch knows the guy that you don't know who he is?
Nope, he identified him as unidentified. Now I was hoping that someone would come along, which is technically correct because I don't know who they are. But I was kind of hoping at the same time someone would come along and maybe identify.
It's a pretty low bar, Evan.
mean, if you're accepting an answer for a person in that picture as unidentified,
But how do I know? I don't know who it is.
your data sucks.
It's not. It's not my picture, man.
I wasn't there because I wasn't even involved yet.
He was right though.
It was right before kind of Jay. Yeah,
before the podcast.
I think it's Jay in a costume.
Way before the podcast.
I was in the process of quitting the band I was in for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that
reasons because of reasons. It's always shitty people. That
was an interesting meeting.
Oh yes, yeah.
It was kind of like Paul Kurtz sussing out the local groups and kind of laying down his vision for the skeptical movement, which was basically to be under the thumb of the humanist movement.
Right.
And then Joe Nickel would sidebar us and complain about that. About the skeptics movement being the whatever, what do they say, like the dirty cousin or like the ugly sister or something like that.
Redheaded stepson.
Redheaded stepson of the humanist movement, and use some kind of
right.
To reheat it.
And it was interesting because Paul Kurtz was. I mean, he was an amazing guy. You know, he's a philosopher. He was the one. I mean, who really turned the modern skeptical movement into what it was in the 1970s, because you had like Randy and Sagan and
Asimov.
No, not Asimov. The Scientific American mathematician guy. I keep forgetting his name.
Gardner.
Martin Gardner.
Yeah.
So, and also the psychologist. I forget his name too. So they really like started the PsyCop. But they had no idea really how to organize it, how to make it into an entity, an institution.
Right.
And Kurtz came in with really the knowledge of how to like run and organize an actual movement, and he did it. And he really
based on humanism.
But he was a humanist first.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like all of my conversations over the years with Paul Kurtz. It was funny how it always came through, like how his humanist first bias. Again, not that I have no problem with humanism. I think we're all humanists, but it's just that was what he was. He was more about promoting the humanism, and skepticism was almost an afterthought.
What was his background or training?
He's a philosopher.
A philosopher.
Okay. Yeah.
Those guys, the fact that they managed to kind of, the fact that anything happened back then without the internet and the access to individual people that like were of a different.
Ray Hyman. I'm sorry, I just wanted to point out Ray Hyman.
There was no real sort of national forum for those guys. There was no. You wouldn't get on TV. You couldn't get on radio, and yet
classified ads and Dragon magazine.
Newsletters and
Dragon magazine.
Meetings
Good
and
reference,
conferences and stuff. It's astounding that they managed to kind of create this foundation. That then everything else is built upon just through sheer like moxie and just mimeographs. Amazing.
Had their own publishing company because nobody was going to publish their work. Right.
That's again. That was Paul Kurtz. He's like, okay, good. We'll start our own publishing company. We'll start our own organization. We'll get a league of experts. We'll interface with the media. We'll lobby. He did all those things.
About a monthly period. Monthly publication.
But Steve, you remember in that organization, though, they, like you said, the skeptics were the redheaded stepchildren because the humanist the humanist side of that company, that's where all the money came from.
Yeah.
So the skeptics weren't making any money for them. So they were just kind of like. Yeah. But comparatively, they were just.
There would be $1 million donors for the humanist movement. I don't think any skeptical organization has been gifted $1 million.
Australian skeptics were, but just as
Randy was.
Randy got stuff from Carson.
Randy was Randy. Randy was a person. He was
but his was a skeptical movement.
Totally.
He had a couple big,
I think Randy was both an atheist and a skeptic always. So he was very comfortable with sort of mishmashing it all together. But the people who were dedicated scientific skeptics, like Joe Nickel, for example, not that there was anything against the atheism, humanism, whatever. It's just that there's skepticism has to be a thing unto itself because it serves its own purpose. It's not just servicing. It's not just leading people to humanism, which is kind of how I think Kurtz thought about it. Like one of the funniest things he ever said to me, we were at a meeting that they invited.
This is Kurtz you're talking about?
Paul Kurtz. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we were at a meeting on alternative medicine.
The horror.
And
I remember this. He turns to Steve and he goes, "Steve, you're an asshole." That was funny.
They said it in Latin.
It's like I've always told people, like it's so important. It's so important to fight like pseudoscience in medicine because that leads people to believing in things like UFOs and Bigfoot and astrology. I'm like, that's funny that you say that, Paul, because I tell
elves and Eskimos.
Exact opposite.
I tell people why do we care if people believe in UFOs? Because it leads to pseudoscience and things that matter, like medicine. Yeah. But he literally had it backwards from what I did, in terms of it struck me as so odd. I mean, it was very congenial, but it was just like, it's funny. I say the exact opposite to people because obviously I think that pseudoscience in medicine has bigger stakes than UFOs or Bigfoot, but
bad thinking is bad thinking, which leads to bad thinking.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Steve, it only got real competition lately with this whole skepticism in democracy thing that's been happening.
Yeah, well, I think that's that is all part of the same thing, and it is funny how our focus has shifted over the years because the stakes have gotten so high in certain areas. Like talking about astrology now seems so quaint.
Oh my God, yeah, right.
Stakes. I mean, we still got to do it every now and then. We got to whack it down. But
you can also point to 500 articles that you had in the last 20 years about cryptozoology and all that kind of crap.
But now we talk about things that like GMOs and organic food and anti-vaxxers and conspiracy theories taking over our government.
But it's also worse. It's also the sky is blue. No, the sky is red. Like whoa, like completely
flat Earth.
Fact and truth and expertise are like crap now. I mean, it's like diminished, so diminished. It makes me want to cry.
That's why the Mars thing was so cool the other day, where it was like, despite the last 4 years, despite what's happening,
science marches on.
Science is like,
that's what Randy used to say.
Excuse me, we're doing something over here. We're doing a real thing here.
Yeah,
and it's undeniable. Of like, no one
pushing new scientific boundaries. Thank you very much.
No flat Earth organization is going to land anything on Mars in the next million years, let alone next decade.
It also goes to show you the number of people working at these governmental organizations whose hearts are in the right place, and we're just kind of keeping on doing their jobs.
Keep your head down
and moving forward, knowing that at some point a change was going to happen, and hopefully things would swing back. And NASA is an amazing example of that.
The way I see it is that we need people who are doing that. We need scientists who are keeping their head down and doing the work. And our job is to have their back so that the angry mobs with pitchforks and torches don't go after them while they're doing their work.
We're the vanguard.
For the Marcia Engel, who is a former editor of the New England Journal of Medicine, New England Journal of Medicine, made a point to me. This is again going back 20 years that I remember, but this is sort of a discussion that we have. The question is, will science win out in the long term by default because it's real, because it's science? And sort of she was making an argument of, well, I don't know that we have to spend so much effort fighting pseudoscience. In the long run, science is going to win out because it's real.
That's so naive.
I know science destroy the planet. Pseudoscience literally destroy humanity. The stakes couldn't possibly be higher.
Well, it also
2000. So looking back on it from 2021, like so naive.
I mean, it depends what you mean by long term. If it's like after extinction and then something else, some other race comes up and believes in science, then you're okay. But that's not really what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, also there's examples. There's examples from. I agree. I think in the long, like I said, the long arch of history bends towards whatever. It's like, but I kind of want it to be good now.
Yeah.
But also, but we could look at again. I think people put on our like American centric or whatever your culture is centric blinders, and you think about your culture. It's like there are cultures on this planet of people who believe pseudoscience down to the bone, and it's not going anywhere. Belief in chi is not going anywhere in Asian culture.
A billion people or more.
Yeah, human site India and tell me that science is going to necessarily win out over time.
Oh, I mean, human psychology is human psychology. It's not going away unless we modify it willfully. Or the only way I see science winning is if AIs take over and it's all robots all the way down. That's the only way.
They'll be asshole robots too. Don't even kid yourself.
I don't know though, because wait a minute, because even in the middle of a culture that may have the most crazy, chi beliefs or whatever magical thinking beliefs, when it comes to filtering their water, they're going to figure out how to do that the best way. When it comes to when it comes to medicines, when it comes to paving roads, when it comes to having internet.
No, that's not true.
Really?
I mean, it's in some areas, sure, but
I mean, eventually. If we're talking eventually, I think those.
What's eventually though? Today is eventually. If you were talking about 50 years ago, that's today.
But it's better than 50 years ago. It's so people have.
Is it though? I mean, if you get medical care in India, what's the probability that you're going to get pseudoscience? It's pretty damn high.
Okay, but compared to 50 years ago, in terms of therapies that are available, that weren't available.
Well, so science is improving in the background, and that scientific medicine is available everywhere. But if you're talking about like still being dominated by pseudoscience, that's not changing. That is not changing as a matter of course.
There's more flat earthers now than 50 years ago.
Sure, but that's a weird blip that's just annoying because the internet lets us see them in massive groups.
I disagree. It's a weird blip. I think flat earthers are, that's not a blip. It's actually part of a cultural process that's been unfolding.
Moon landing, JFK,
right? What's the sustainability of that?
The flat earthers led to QAnon. It's basically the same phenomenon.
But what's the sustainability of that?
We don't know. We don't know. We're in the middle of it.
I think those things can't be sustained because.
I mean, but George, let's go back.
It's getting worse.
Look at just the UFO movement and the Bigfoot movement and everything. Like they're still there. They still have giant conferences. Incredible amounts of money are being spent for people that are interested in the whole thing. Ghost hunting, even though it's not popular on TV right now, it's still happening. There's still tons of people that believe in it. I mean, look at it like this. These things are very easy to come to being and very difficult. You can't squash them. They don't ever really go away. I remember talking to a chiropractor that was in a business group that I was in. It's like a local, but this was way before the internet, and you actually went to meetings to network with people that you don't know. And there was a chiropractor in the group, and I'm like, I got to sit in this room with a chiropractor. And I asked the guy, what progress has chiropractic made in the last 10 years? And I just let there be dead silence. And he scrambled. He's like, well, and he starts talking about therapy and all this shit. There was no progress. Chiropractic has not changed. The only thing that's changed is that chiropractors do other stuff now, right?
Yeah.
Like the flat Earth theory is never going to change. It's the same exact shit. It's always been. It's always going to be this way. It's, you know what I mean? Like these things exist with zero evolution, zero progress. It's the stickiness of the thought. It's the feeling inside that people get.
When we say things are getting better or worse, it's never clear. I kind of come back to what you were saying, George. It's never clear to me what metrics we're using to say it is getting better or worse, and how much it is some effect of the internet allowing these communities to organize very effectively, right? And it's very hard to disentangle those two, not least because we don't have amazing data from too far back in history, right?
And Jay, is that chiropractor going to be more likely to immunize his kids than he would have been 50 years ago?
No.
Or is that No?
I don't.
No.
Well, George, I was
going to bring up the anti-vaxxers as an example, George.
Right. But there have been with what's going on with COVID right now.
No, it's not. We have numbers on. The anti-vaxxers have been around as long as there have been vaccines.
Right.
We had this fight 200 fucking years ago, and it's the same fight we're having now. We've made no progress. It waxes and wanes. It comes and goes. But there's no direction. There's no progress being made, and
social media put it on steroids.
But how sustainable is it? That's my point. Is that
so far it seems to be forever. It seems to be there's no limit so far.
Human psychology.
We've had this we've had this couple of decades where the vaccinations that happened in the 60s and 70s, and all the exposure to whooping cough, all the exposure to polio, all the exposure to all these people dying, all these children dying, these horrible, horrible ways that kids died, everybody has forgotten about that.
Yeah,
and that stuff starts coming back and can remind people, and they start saying, what do we do about this? Because I think most parents, when they see their child coughing themselves to death, get a slightly different perspective. Yes, there's hardcore people that will never see the light, but I'm talking over the course of some span of time. I think it's self-correcting because their stuff doesn't work, and people like shit that works, even if they won't admit it. Every anti-vaxxer uses a phone, uses the internet, uses plumbing, uses.
So I think technology is different than science, and I think that you are correct.
But that's, I mean.
Technology, people will use their iPhones or whatever. People will use the benefits of technology to some extent. There are Luddites too, so it's not a clean separation. But I do think, like, if you're talking about just some technology that's in the background that doesn't get caught up in any kind of pseudoscience, yes, that advances and people will use it. But if you talk about things like medicine, like anti-vaxxers, whatever, they're not going anywhere. I agree. We predicted, I say we, like at Science-Based Medicine, we literally predicted 10 years ago, the anti-vax movement will wane when we have a nice, solid epidemic and a good outbreak. And then the Disney measles epidemic outbreak occurred, and we got some laws passed, some anti-vax laws passed. They went down for a few years. Now they're coming back. The thing is, it doesn't permanently reduce that. It just reduces it for a while, and then it comes back. These things all have like a generational cycle to them. I read a book from 250 years ago that was debunking miracle magnetic medical devices. It was like you were reading it 5 years ago. It's the same exact. There was hundreds of fake magnetic healing devices that were all exactly the same shit that we got going around today. So I'm both an optimist and a pessimist. I agree with you, George, but I agree with Jay as well. It's kind of, yes, technology is advancing. I do think truth is and working is an advantage. It's an inherent advantage. I think that being correct is an inherent advantage. Like it's really easy to tell the truth. It's hard to maintain a lie. Right. But I also have to recognize that it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere.
Oh, no,
it's going to wax.
I agree.
It's going to wax and wane. We're not going to ever have any kind of final victory. And I also think it can get really bad. It can get really bad. There could be a cultural shift that will last for literally thousands of years because we have a history. That's what's happened. There are cultures where some pseudoscience got baked into the culture, and it's here thousands of years later.
Yep,
and
that's true.
Steve, I think
we have to acknowledge that as well.
But even
Steve, I think one way. Go ahead, George.
No. Even those cultures, I think, when given with some kind of medical practice, that's going to be like COVID is a good example. Like, there are people that are selling COVID cures.
There's a ton of fake COVID cures out there.
Sure. But I don't think there is a cultural acceptance of a fake COVID cure. You know what I mean? I don't think. I think a lot of the alternative medicine is kind of like a parasite on the system. They continue their game that they're
it's going to
remora
always be there sucking away resources, but it's significant and it can get really significant.
But individuals that are given the opportunity, I think to have a vaccine which gets outside. Again, we have this very like you said, this American-centric idea. I mean, I think many European countries don't have the same kind of anti-vax. I mean, it's there. I just don't think it's to the same degree that we have it because of this weird American, individual.
Although UK is pretty bad.
UK is worse. UK is worse.
Okay.
Australia is pretty bad, but the UK, the Australia skeptics are doing a great job just because their laws are such that it's a lot easier to put it down. Our laws are horrible. It's hard to
continental Europe
finally put it
better,
down.
I think.
But continental Europe has homeopathy. They are all homeopathy up and down. They're bad. Every country has their pseudoscience.
Right.
Steve, what do you think of this, Steve? The idea of technology and how technology is different. I think it's related to the fact that some ideas like healthcare, vaccines, fake moon landing, that can slot into an ideology easier and more quickly than
some
something
things
like
lend
technology.
themselves more than others. Yeah.
Right. If you can link into an ideology about how you trust authority. Like basically is what flat eartherism boils down to.
Yeah.
You don't trust anybody.
I agree. So the more I've written about this too, right? The idea that we're not going to have any alternative civil engineering, right? No one's going to drive over a homeopathic bridge. It's not going to happen. Right. If there's an immediate physical, obvious consequence or benefit or whatever,
a binary problem. You get over the river or you don't.
That's where, and even the alternative medicine people go, yeah, regular medicine's great when you break a bone, right? Because you can't wave your herbs over a broken bone and straighten out the leg. It's way too obvious. But where there's any wiggle room, any subjectivity, anything like that, it thrives. It's always just like this parasite on humanity.
The human experience is more binary problems like that, or more gray area problems. I think the gray area problems are resultant of a culture that's fucking bored.
That's partly the worried the bored,
and that's not going anywhere.
That's not going anywhere. So like
that make it worse, George.
No, I know, but I mean, that's not an issue of science not permeating. That's a cultural thing of like people don't know how good they have it.
Yeah.
And they need to sort of realize George, like it's amazing.
I have two comments. One is we would have to have some measures. We'd have to say, okay, we need to know like percentage of population that's believing in one or more pseudosciences versus 30 years ago. That's one thing. Or the amount of money that was spent, adjusting for inflation and all that. That would give us some indicators. But the things that the anecdotes that pound me in the head, as an example, like half of the country, not wearing a mask, half of the United States refusing to wear a mask. That is rejecting experts. Allowing
so tied into a political thing, Jay. If
part of it though, George.
But six months ago or 7 months ago, if the people at the top of the thing had informed their constituency in a different way, this would not have been an issue. But it became
You're right, George.
It became this thing of like, oh no, now I'm a proud non-mask wearer because it's something I can latch onto, and that's horseshit. That's not not the question of how technology.
What's the difference?
But those people at the top were put in power by the voters at the bottom.
Absolutely, that's a horrible thing. Yeah, no question. And that's its own ideology and all.
We have the leaders we deserve. It's like you can't say you can't complain about the forest not being green when the trees aren't green.
But I would argue, though, that anything that manifests in our culture, regardless of how it gets there, is a measure. So, yes, the lack of love and respect for expertise has dramatically dropped in the last 15 years. I mean, the internet has completely damaged that. And then, and again, going back to the politics, I mean, politics is a byproduct of humanity. Yeah. It is part of our culture. It's a part of the things. It's a lever, right? It's a lever that makes people think and feel things. So I would look at it. My anecdotes are completely shit now, meaning like I feel terrible about where humanity is now. When we started the SGU project, and first off, we're like, whoa, this is cool, the internet, and we had this great vibe, and I felt like for like the first 5 or so years that we were like, yeah, it's growing and more people are becoming critical thinkers and all that shit.
Honeymoon phase,
and then reality came sneaking in and washed over all of us,
used the same internet to do it.
But that phase change to me really seems, and this is kind of a side point. It's social media, right? That is the delimiter between the early part of the internet. Where it was kind of communities finding each other and building this thing together. Right. And then social media with the loss of context and the ability to just drop in, slam a takedown, and then bolt out.
Land of the trolls.
Equanimity of opinion.
Yeah.
Internet balls is damaging.
Yeah. No. And don't forget, guys.
Horrible.
Don't forget, the other angle here that makes this really hard for us is that becoming a critical thinker, understanding evidence, understanding logical fallacies, and understanding how error prone human senses are, that's hard. It's hard. It takes work to really learn and appreciate that skill. And that's going to be, I think, what's really going to hold us back. People don't want to spend the time. It's not fun. It's not sexy. It's not an action movie with explosions. They don't want to put the effort in.
It's self-admitting too that you can be wrong, which people don't like to do. And who wants to admit they can be wrong consistently? Who wants to admit that you are more wrong than you are right?
Yeah, let's take
everybody. Look at Texas. I know we're not going to get political, but just look at what's going on in Texas, right? All of these people have all of these houses that are uninsulated, that the power grid is its own thing, so they can't divert energy from the rest of the country, which like the rest of the planet has figured out. Oh, you supplement by using secondary systems. All the people now that are literally having frozen air fans in their homes and frozen toilets. How many of them are going to remain vigilant, independent Texas power grid?
All of them.
99.999%.
You really think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's hard to say, George. We'll see. So we'll see. It's a good natural experiment.
I think
George, they're saying George, they're already saying the problem was the frozen wind turbines.
Yeah. Who's saying that?
Yeah,
the people at the top,
politicians, whomever.
Right?
Right,
people
of course.
at the top who are covering their
people who
asses
have everything to lose.
Right. What I predict
the mom
is
who's sleeping in her car.
They believe it.
I mean, you'll see some people who
there'll be a movement. There'll be movement, George. There'll be a 10% swing. There's like that 10% swing in the middle, but that 40% is going nowhere.
Because they turned it into a culture war thing, right?
Yeah, they did.
That's the problem. Is the moment you turn it into a culture war thing, some people will just adhere to it, no matter what it is, no matter how stupid it is.
The rallying cry.
So, I mean, just to try to summarize where I think I am on this, because we've had this conversation in many different contexts, and over the last 20 plus years, because this is like key core to what we do.
It's good to revisit regularly.
I agree. No, I agree that, and this is partly just, if I have faith in anything, this is sort of my faith in the better part of humanity. I do think that the long term we're going in a better direction, but it's a long, twisty path. I also think that there are, the pseudoscience, the conspiracy thinking, there's the denialism. That stuff is always going to be present to some degree. It will get stronger or weaker, and our job is to keep it down as much as possible. But I also think that the history is replete with failed societies on multiple layers, and it's possible for things to fail. And it's not all or nothing. There are some aspects in which we may fail, and then we're stuck with shit. Like in the 1920s, after the Scopes monkey trial, there was no evolution education in this country for 60 years. We lost generations of Americans who didn't learn the E word, and we're still paying for that now. The Soviet Union, with Lysenkoism, they're still paying. 70 years, 80 years later, they're still behind on genetics. Yeah. So there can be very, very high prices to pay over decades and even centuries if you get something profoundly wrong.
I think the price is there for sure, but I think I still tend to think that the stuff that works shakes out.
Yeah, I agree.
It may take centuries.
I agree. I agree. Right. But you're right. But it has a tendency to shake out. It's not a foregone conclusion.
Okay. Yeah.
It's amazing what one picture can bring forth. I'll just say
that was a seminal moment. Look,
who is the person?
Who is that?
Unidentified skeptic.
Get to the quiz. Let's do the quiz.
Oh yeah, we better get to the quiz.
Oh, we have a quiz.
We have a quiz, and the quiz is darkenergy.games. So feel free.
I love talking to you guys, man. I love it.
I love it. You know what? So
I learn.
Bob's daughter Ashley is living with me. My niece is living with me with her boyfriend because this is where they're staying to ride out the pandemic.
Okay.
And we were talking about you. He wanted to know who you were. Your name comes up in the house all the time. Who is George? What is this George guy? So I'm talking to him, and I described you as like George grew up like an hour and a half away from where we are. He thinks the way we do. He knows he eats the food we eat. He talks the way we talk. That regional thing about George made you very alluring. You know what I mean?
Just he's cooler and has talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop.
I can play 54 instruments. I can't play one.
And Brian, you're very. I look at you as very New York.
Me?
I look at you as New Jersey.
Well, yeah, I'm from.
We went to the same high school together. You know, Brian and I are from the same cloth. There.
We probably grew up. Where'd your folks live? In Montclair?
West Orange.
West Orange. I was in Pompton Lake. I mean, it's like if 20 miles away or something. Like George and I are basically from the same place.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
I seem more sophisticated, though. I understand.
It totally does. Yeah, with the fart albums. Yeah, it's good for you.
Well,
it's 11.
Guys, you know, SGU, like people go to the link in the chat to get to the secret link.
It's darkenergy.games for everybody. And then for us internally, there's a specific link that you can go to.
By the way, on Monday, it's going to be my mom's 80th birthday.
Mom.
Isn't that exciting? Gio's mom is going to be 80 on Monday, which she said it's okay to say. So I just interviewed her on the show this week. She hasn't been on in a while. So she was on the program and we talked about all kinds of stuff.
And I saw the announcement about your dad.
And my dad, after 52 years, is retiring from teaching.
52 years.
52 years at one school.
Extraordinarily loved and respected. That was a really wonderful thing that guy wrote about.
Really cool. Yeah, that was the headmaster wrote a very, very lovely thing. And yeah.
I believe, I think he's told me this. I was in your dad's first bio class.
Yes, that first year he switched over, right?
Wow.
That's right, because he did phys ed for 20 years.
Yep.
And then he switched over to science and bio and chem
And of course, so that was my freshman year of high school, and I had no idea he wasn't an experienced biology teacher, right? I mean, I was, whatever, I was 14, 13, whatever it is at the time.
He spent that summer teaching himself biology, basically. He grabbed the textbook and he was like, okay, I got 3 months to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
And he did.
All right, to the quiz.
To the quiz.
Make this happen.
All right, let's trigger the stinger, and it might be loud, so watch your ears.
Wait, do I click on this link, guys?
Yeah, you click on that link.
Chat.
In our chat.
Here we go.
Oh, in our chat. Hold on.
Oh, that didn't work. Nah, whatever.
Oh, here it is.
You might have to copy and paste it out.
That's what I had to do. It worked.
Did it work?
Oh yeah, and I signed
we
in.
only have 264 people. It's still coming. There's still people.
Do I need to set up a profile?
You may if you wish.
If you have time.
It only takes a second.
Yeah.
If you that is deeply programmed. Deeply programmed.
But it's funny, George. Like I have my optimistic days and my dark days.
I know. I hear
so
you.
You could make a case either way.
You read one story, it goes one way. You read the other story.
Yeah. I'm always dark.
Play anonymous.
It's important.
Optimism. That's what I like. Pragmatic optimism.
Pragmatic optimism.
Like, I think these will be cool, but I gotta realize when they're not. Yeah.
I'm actually now that I have kids, I look at it like it's no longer my lifetime; it's their lifetime. Things will be they're going to see amazing stuff. I'm already like I'm already 3/4 of the way into the grave at this point, for crying out loud. Oh, the engineering problem of biology, guys. Why does it have to hit us so hard?
All right. We're ready for quiz time? I think we got enough people. Let's play the stinger like we did from the 12-hour show. Let's see if it works. Boom.
We're going to start the game. It's a game.
It's a game.
We're going to ask a couple.
That's awesome.
All right. We got a bunch of people joining, and if you join late, just follow along with the prompt that's on the page. So here we go. When I say click, we're going to hit the synchronize button all together now. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Click.
That's
Abort game.
I clicked right when you told me to, and I'm 3 seconds.
I got me too.
I got 3 seconds behind.
Me too. All of us are 3 today.
I might have clicked early intentionally because you guys sometimes see the questions. I did it intentional because you guys see the question.
The game master
and
behind
before
the
I
scenes.
do.
Ian is pulling the strings.
I pulled the
guys
string. Pull the string.
Yes, the game now.
I mean, George, is Ed Wood not one of the greatest movies of all time?
The greatest film.
Really? Oh my gosh, my favorite Johnny Depp movie, like by a million.
No way, man.
By a million.
I never saw it.
Oh, Bob!
It's
Oh my god! You gotta get out.
It's objectively the best Tim Burton movie.
No question.
Here.
Yeah.
I doubt that.
Bob, it's that good.
Pull the string. You'll love it.
Yes,
Bob, it is a masterpiece.
It doesn't judge anybody, which I love that. It doesn't. It's like it doesn't. It's funny, but it doesn't make fun of anybody.
Yep.
It's so good. It's so balanced. And what's his name?
Martin Landau.
Martin Landau is.
Oh,
he won an Oscar.
Won an Oscar, and
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I could watch that movie.
It's
every
not
day.
like it's not the fantasy kind of stuff that Burton otherwise did,
Yeah.
but as
Yeah.
a film, it's clearly the tops.
Oh yeah,
Can somebody tell me the name of the movie?
Ed
Ed
Wood.
Wood.
Ed.
Oh, I saw Ed Wood. That movie was great.
You'll never guess who it's about, Jay.
About watermelon.
Hitler.
But have you ever seen the full movie?
Yes,
Plan
I
9
watched
from Outer
Ed Wood.
Space.
Oh
It
yeah,
was on TV the other
No,
day.
Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Plan 9.
Yes.
Yes.
Or
Ed
terrible.
Wood. He's
Glenn or
Ed Wood's a
Glenda.
porn star, right?
It's wonderfully terrible.
I've
Have
seen
any of you
Leonard
guys
Bernstein.
watched the movie The Disaster Artist?
Yes.
Oh.
Fantastic.
That was very
Fantastic.
Oh, I'll watch
similar.
that.
It's
all about
about
the
a
room.
guy who wants to make movies and he's got some cash on hand and he's terrible. He's like incredibly horrible.
Have you seen The Room, Steve? Have you seen the movie that it's
Yeah.
based on?
Yeah.
Oh
well,
my
he
god.
gets
Yeah, well,
money
that's-
from a widow, I think, right? Isn't it
Yeah.
a widow?
I don't know.
Like the backstory.
No,
No
nobody
spoilers.
knows. No, they still to this day don't know where he got his money from. He's loaded, and no one knows where he got his money.
I thought they okay, yeah, because they recorded in film and digital, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it the? It's amazing.
And he bought all the
Ian and I
equipment.
At 6:25 because
Oh
we
yeah.
have to text.
Okay. Sorry. Let's go. I'm sorry. All right. Where we go and away we go. Boom.
All right.
Which family does the J belong to? Jacanidae, Novella, Colicea, I think it is.
What?
Colicea. I don't know how to pronounce it. Or Corvidae.
Like
Well,
like the
okay.
bird.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Not giving any hints by my noises.
Verifying a term is not giving hints.
Okay.
I suggest we have an Ed Wood watching party, SGU.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
Oh,
Sure. Let's do it.
let's do it.
A stream commentary.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
That movie is so good.
All right.
Correct. Bitch.
So I think everybody sees the answer now, right?
Mhm. I do.
Corvidae, also known as the crow family. Jacanidae are wading birds. And Steve, how do you pronounce that?
Corvidae?
No, the K, the next one.
Novella?
No, the third one.
Cold leche.
Oh, you don't see. Oh,
Coli-
never mind. I'm sorry. You don't see the
Cold leche.
description at the end.
Yeah.
The Coliculae. What is it?
J is a novella, but he's not the J.
He's not that.
Right? I
J.
guess that's a
I didn't know Jays were corvids.
yeah.
Corvid, a murder.
Female Jays are
A
Corvettes.
murder of Jays.
There we go.
All right, next one. What are small to medium-sized kangaroo species called informally? Possums, wallabies,
Collect.
joeys, or wombat?
After 5.
Oh, it's one of two answers that I'm thinking. Good. How about that?
Think Wiggles.
No, wait. Are you throwing me out? Wait. Oh no, I'm changing my answer based
Stop
on
cheating.
My answer. I changed mine.
Yes.
Okay,
I didn't change
my
it,
hint
and I
work?
should have.
yours still ends like a couple seconds before
I
mine.
should
Okay,
have.
possums and wombats are not kangaroos, but different marsupials.
actual
Joey is
different things.
informal name for an infant marsupial.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
baby. Yeah.
Shall we?
Turn to Paul Kurtz for inspiration.
Oh, mediums. Oh, jeez.
Somebody stole my baby.
It.
A dingo ate my baby.
You ate your
God.
baby. You bastard.
Oh boy. How many Australians have not been confronted with that? And so, you're from Australia. Did the dingo eat your baby?
I hate Crocodile Dundee.
Did you see there's a new Crocodile Dundee movie coming out?
No,
Starring who?
Really?
Look, Paul Hogan, dude.
Well, no, there's
It's not still around.
no, it's like he plays
that.
himself, right? It's meeting Mr. Dundee. It's called or waiting
It's
for
something
Mr.
like
Dundee.
that. Yeah.
What is
He plays
the
Paul Hogan.
Oh.
All right,
Talking
next
about-
question.
what
Yeah.
is the color of lapis lazuli?
Lazuli.
Lazuli.
Lazuli?
Lapis lazuli.
No, it's Italian. Lazuli.
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 Jay, you should know this.
Is it blue,
All right,
green,
here's
red,
your
or
hint.
black?
Your hint is Minecraft. Yeah, somebody put it in the chat.
Ah.
Yeah, Minecrafters or
Slousing.
anyone who watched Steven Universe.
Mm-mm.
No one. Steven Universe.
I've been meaning to. I haven't seen it yet. Everyone says it's great.
It's great. Yeah.
Some
Wait, so
history.
Somebody
Go ahead.
once told me.
I was just saying that when you have kids,
George.
finding good kid programs that are like, adults
Oh my God.
won't cringe over is great.
All the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Steven Universe is a good one for your kids, and it'll be enjoyable enough for you as well. But Lapis Lazuli is a character, and she's very blue.
Oh. Well, it's also Azul is Spanish, right?
Azul, yeah.
Azul.
Yeah.
That's a slough line.
Lapis Lazuli.
Here comes the next question. And now, what's the common name of the Himalayas Yeti?
Don't ask Paul Kurtz. He doesn't care.
Snow gorilla, snow.
According to whom?
Phenomenal snowman, mountain ape.
What? Fred.
Given that it's in English, I guess it's.
This one's gonna ruin my perfect score.
Right, Bob?
Yeah, I know, I'm thinking that too. Oh my god!
Yes.
I thought that was common.
I thought it was too obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little.
That's part of the problem.
I believe Frank made up the other names.
I wasn't sure. I mean, I knew that was a common name. I wasn't sure if it was a archaic name. You know what I mean? An older name,
Right?
Or is that the other one of the other ones was a newer name?
Yeah.
Snow gorilla. Snow gorilla is so stupid.
How the hell did what's his name Attenborough get away with saying, "I have no reason to doubt people who believe that the abominable snowman exists"?
Did he say that?
What? Yes, he said that.
Oh my god.
He must have been drinking that day.
He's a punk.
Jane
Of course, I was
said
drunk
some
at the
sketchy
time.
stuff, too. I don't understand. Like, let me explain it to you.
Next one.
Go ahead, Ian.
Who is it switched already for you, right? It's a couple seconds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is known as the father of medicine? Hippocrates.
Oh, Steve doesn't even look confident. That sucks.
Well, there's two reasonable answers here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and
I like
two
that you
other-
said Hippocrates, Ian.
Yeah, Hippocrates.
Yeah.
So
I know, right?
Hippocrates.
I mean,
That's what
is
your
it really
hippos
Hippocrates?
ship in. I mean, what
Not
else?
really Hippocrates, right? Isn't it Hippocrates?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Hippocratic Oath, guys. The Hippocratic
Yeah,
Oath.
but Galen is a reasonable answer.
Yeah.
How so?
Galen was.
Wasn't
big
it?
time.
Yeah, there's some interesting history there. Galen, whilst also an important figure in the development of medicine, lived about 500 years after.
Yeah, it was after, but I didn't know. I put Hippocrates, but
And then also Hahnemann is the father of homeopathy, apparently.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
and I love hypochondrias.
That was funny.
Is a
I
man-
remember I was visiting a friend in Paris when I was living in London, and he was living near Père Lachaise Cemetery, and I walked right by Hahnemann's tombstone in this cemetery.
Yeah, oh my
And I was just like, "What? It's this huge, huge thing." I was like, and it was that Hahnemann. He's buried.
Yeah.
That bastard.
Yeah.
Another one.
He was finally.
There's just one molecule of him there, though.
Yeah. Right. Finally attenuated.
Okay, who designed the VW Beetle? Volker Wan, Ferdinand Porsche,
John Lennon. No. Paul McCartney. No.
Evan.
Sorry.
You were responsible for puns, sir.
I thought it was Adolf Hitler.
No.
He paid
didn't
for it.
design that.
They paid for it.
Nine.
It was developed for him.
Yeah, that government was.
Yes. Got it right.
Damn it.
I do know things about automobiles a little bit. Little auto history.
I got that one wrong.
Wow, mine's getting further out of sync with you guys.
Yeah, me too.
Volker Wan is a made-up name, apparently. VW stands for Volkswagen, or People's Car.
Yeah.
Porsche was the founder of the Audi, excuse me,
Right.
car company. After
And Benz is Mercedes-Benz.
right to use Horch as a name.
Did you see the Ferrari versus?
Oh yeah,
Oh, is it good?
that was good.
Very good
That was
movie.
Versus what?
What's it called?
Ford versus Ferrari.
Ford versus Ferrari.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
It's
didn't
about
know
that.
what that was. I thought it was an action movie when I first saw it.
No, it's about the Lincoln Theater, and then
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah. And
Oh, we have another question.
wow,
Jeez.
bonus
There's 8
question.
questions. There's 8.
Eight is enough.
A lot. So, how many confirmed exoplanets are there according to NASA?
I think I know this one.
Less than 1,000,
Because
between 1,000 and 5,000, between 5,000 and 10,000, more than 10,000.
About a year ago, I reported on this. I hope the numbers still stands. Kind of.
We shall see.
I think it's like 6.
The key word there is confirmed.
Yep.
Oh, confirmed. Yeah. Yay. It is still that number.
It's around 3,500 or something like that.
But there's a lot waiting to be confirmed, guys.
Lot waiting.
Oh yeah, there's a
Yeah,
ton
a lot.
of data.
It's close, but as of February 19th, 2021,
Wait till the James Webb
352 confirmed exoplanets.
Exoplanet fun for you.
Confirmed means validated by 2 or more observation methods.
Wait till that James Mason telescope.
You have to wait for a full.
Look at that exoplanet there.
Yes, the exoplanet.
Mr. Kaplan, do you think you've discovered a planet or something? Mr. Kaplan.
I want to answer this question someday. Who has the best English accent? I've got to explore that question.
Michael Caine.
The Queen.
You have to talk like Michael Caine.
How many questions?
18 years old. What is the name of the helicopter that just arrived on Mars?
Hello.
Innovation, Icarus, Ingenuity, Inquisition.
The Inquisition.
What a show. The Inquisition.
Every
That's
time.
good. I use that sound that noisy, and I should.
The Jew.
Damn you! Don't get saucy with me, Bernays.
Hey, Talkamata.
Yes.
What do you say?
Oh,
You didn't get that wrong, did you?
No, you know what I did at the last second? I changed to a wrong answer.
I love You Can't Talk Him Out of Anything. It's one of the
Let's
all-time
face
great.
it. You can't
Talk him out of anything. It's such a great punchline.
Well,
I think that's it.
the game is closing in 24 seconds.
Yes.
And then we got to wrap up, right?
Watch.
Wrap it up.
We spent all that time
you know what?
talking. We didn't
We
really get
do
to
have the promo video I have exported if we want to play that
Exported.
Play the
Promo for the game show.
for the game show. For
All right.
DVD. So let's just play that while it's
Play it, you bastard.
watch.
Yeah, we don't need to talk.
Everybody, I don't know how loud it is, so just watch your ears, headphone users.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
Tune in tomorrow night at 6 o'clock for the premiere episode of Boomer versus Zoomer, the first transgenerational game show with people that are wearing shirts and like to have pants on weekend days that are very special in rooms with lights and a green wall.
That was
Hosted by George Robb.
I'm wearing a
Wow.
completely black shirt today. Thought people would want to know.
Ooh.
Are you
nice
talking about
guy.
the Warrior? Well, next week we have to go.
Time to go.
Brian, you wear a lot of black shirts too. You're in the club, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm wearing a black
shirts.
t-shirt under here. That counts.
I'm Nick
Well,
Robb.
Well, first
That
off,
was fun.
thank you, Brian. Thank you, George.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys tomorrow at the game show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Brian and George, you guys are great.
Brian, good luck with the kids' album.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, if anyone wants to check it out, Go Banana Go.
Look,
Is there a website? Is there a singular site, or just go to Spotify or go to iTunes or what?
Yes, but honestly, the best thing there you can go to. I actually don't remember the website. If is it gobananago.com?
I think it's gobananagoband.com.
Let me check that. I'm going to check it right now. That's correct. Wow, Ian, amazing work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, gobananagoband.com. But really, just go to Spotify and look and search for it there. You'll find
I
everything.
can even pronounce hypocrites correctly.
Hypocrites.
Can't hear you, Ian. We can't hear you. It's
Yeah. Waka waka.
It's still. I can't. What?
Okay.
Everyone who came.
All right.
Oh wait,
Have a
and
good week, everybody.
go to boomervzoomer.com if you want to be a contestant.
Yes.
There's an audition form at the
See
bottom.
you all tomorrow night on the game show.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
See you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye, my friends.
Great job.
Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.